All right, we are back with another Stable Spotlight. We are here with Henry. This is an impromptu one. Henry was literally walking down the street, and I said, "Is that Henry from Castle Island? Let's do a spotlight." Thanks for coming.
Gotta stay on your toes around here. Thanks for having me, Drew.
You're walking around East Denver. You never know what's going to happen.
That's true.
Okay, so let's start with an intro. What are you doing? And maybe an intro about Castle Island for those who may not know.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name's Henry Harris. I'm an investor at Castle Island Ventures. Been there for about 8 or 9 months now. Joined last spring. I actually got thrown into the fire conference-wise. So it was my first week of work was Consensus in Austin last year. And so I feel a little bit at home at conferences. It's a little chaotic, but it's good to be here. Good and having these conversations.
That was a unique conference for Castle Island for, I think, just
That's
maybe
true.
for those who may not be aware.
Yeah.
It was a uniquely difficult or complex situation.
One of our founding partners, Nick Carter, noted stablecoin thought leader and MMA aficionado, was fighting at Karate Combat during that conference last year. As I was leading up to starting my job, I was telling my parents about it. They were asking me what crypto is. I was like, hey, look, this is my boss trading for this MMA fight. That made them really excited about it. But yeah, I guess
they're like, wow, we're so proud of you, honey. You finally made it.
Yeah,
I remember I think I was in the hotel, I forget whatever hotel it was, and I think it was the day of that fight or the day before, and he was obviously just like hyped up, and he was like walked out of the elevator in the hotel we were staying in, the Line Hotel, I think is where most people stay.
Yep.
And that lobby's packed, and it almost felt like the elevator doors opened and he walked out almost like what an MMA fighter, like out of the tunnel.
Yeah, he had his posse behind him.
It was just a hotel lobby, but it had the same effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. What have you been focused on since then? It sounds like you've been in this role for like a year, 2 years now. Stablecoins.
Yeah.
How has it been going?
One of the first things I worked on actually with Nick when I started was this big stablecoin report that we put out last year, covering kind of the rise of stablecoins in all around the world. How are they being used? What's the volume of them? We took kind of like sampled surveys in emerging markets like Nigeria, Turkey, India. My background is kind of data science as well. I was doing data science at a hedge fund prior to joining here. And we had kind of like a data-driven angle as part of that report, which was great to work on. And I think it was very aligned with our thesis. And Nick and Matt's, kind of who's the other founding partner of Castle Island, have been, had their finger on the stablecoin pulse all the way back to 2020. They tried to coin the term crypto dollar, which never really stuck.
Oh, that doesn't feel good.
You don't think crypto dollar studios rolls off the tongue as much?
Not as well.
No,
not as well.
But we made a ton of investments in the space, continue to be focused on it. It seems like the market is getting as excited about it as we've been for a while. And coming out of that report, we were doing, part of the thesis is, the why now around stablecoins is just the infrastructure is there for some of these emerging markets. So some of the investments that we made in kind of local exchanges, on and off ramps in companies like Yellow Card that are working Africa, Hata, who's working in kind of Southeast Asia, allow for not only stablecoin payments to happen, but people can then kind of get back off-chain into their local fiat that they need to live their everyday lives. So I'd say stablecoins is definitely a focus for us, but even more so than that, stablecoins in kind of emerging markets is like the place to be investment-wise.
Yeah, I hear sort of a common when you ask like the VC thesis, or how do you guys sort of categorize or bucket the stablecoin ecosystem, I commonly hear like, you got the issuers, orchestrators, liquidity partners, applications. I might be missing a couple. Are there any that you, it sounds like you're very research focused and you're always thinking ahead. Are there any like emerging categories or things that we may not have been thinking about that you might, as you look into this year or the next year, that you get excited about, or emerging categories?
Yeah, a couple, one other category I'll mention where we haven't made like a specific bet yet would be like stablecoin-focused networks. I think you'll see more and more of those popping up. We've talked to a couple of them. None of them are like kind of at mainnet right now, but I think it's going to be an interesting.
What does that mean for those who may not know it? I don't know what that means.
Right. I think everyone's kind of trying
for those like me who don't know.
Well, so you have like your regular general purpose permissionless blockchains, Ethereum, Solana, the ones that everyone know, where all of the stablecoin is happening today. You're having a couple of these stablecoin focused networks that are optimizing their kind kind of infrastructure, their consensus mechanisms to be purpose-built for stablecoins, and they're kind of, what that means from a go-to-market angle is they're going to go to like the Ubers of the world and say, the only thing that you need out of a blockchain is payments as fast as possible. And you don't want meme coins to be happening on the chain that you're using. You don't want gas fees to spike because there's like a cool new DeFi protocol that people are using on the chain. So the only thing that's going to be happening on this chain is stablecoin payments that will finalize in less than a second, and TPS can be millions, billions, whatever people like to say now about TPS.
No first lady meme coins coming out on this chain.
Exactly.
Just like only payments, institutional.
Exactly. I wouldn't say that it's unclear whether there's going to be demand for that. I mean, it's like a lot of things in crypto. There's plenty of infrastructure and not necessarily enough demand to meet that infrastructure, but definitely seems like stablecoins have found their product market fit, and people from outside crypto, whether it's fintech providers or banks that are looking to get more involved. The stablecoin bill that's kind of passing through Senate and Congress right now is going to be a game changer for institutions to be more comfortable using stablecoins, and those folks might be interested in a decentralized network that doesn't deal with any of the other riffraff that happens in crypto sometimes, and it's just payments focused. So we'll see.
The marketplace use case where Airbnb, Uber is commonly referenced there is so we haven't actually gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But those business models fire me up.
Right.
It's like once an Uber can actually, because the two-sided marketplace of receiving payments, paying out the drivers, and keeping everything within this ecosystem is such a perfect use case for stablecoins, because now money has to come in and leave and externalize and come in and out. It's such an expensive, slow, costly process that Uber or someone like them in a marketplace could just have this native asset that stays almost like what a Coinbase or Venmo or Neobank type of app all in one ecosystem could feel like. What needs to happen for us to get there? Does a stablecoin network type product, is that what you think needs to exist for that to work? And do you see anyone kind of going, any companies you're watching who might be doing that?
I'd say I would actually go back to another kind of sector of the market that you mentioned, which is liquidity providers.
Yeah.
The problem that stablecoins are trying to solve when you think about B2B payments use cases, this merchant payments use cases, is that in fintech, immediately settled US dollar and international payments kind of already exists. There's a lot of fintech companies that have raised a lot of money in Web2 that can do this really well. But all of those businesses are built around kind of like T+1, getting ahead of that by holding dollars in bank accounts all around the world. So when you're using something like that, it settles immediately because they're actually using a separate pile of dollars that's already sitting in the geo where that spend needs to go. But that's not very capital efficient for all of those businesses that are using that. So that's the crux of the problem that stablecoins are trying to solve, which is not requiring these businesses to just hold idle capital sitting around all around the world. But the metric around stablecoin supply that people love to tout is oh my gosh, we're up to $220 billion in total stablecoin supply across all blockchain networks. That's amazing. But if you think about the amount of transaction volume, whether it's through marketplaces, whether it's from Visa card payments, $200 billion of stablecoins that exist today isn't near enough to match that demand. And so we're almost a knock about a lot of things in crypto is we're kind of just remaking traditional finance in fast forward. And that's happening a little bit in the stablecoin space when it comes to the liquidity side, because you still need, if a company like Airbnb or Uber is coming to the table and says, hey, I want to facilitate this, transaction using a stablecoin, the original fiat dollar still needs to exist to get changed into a stablecoin, and someone needs to provide that liquidity to go from US dollar to stablecoin and then send that stablecoin. And then maybe on the other side, that person, whoever's receiving it, that business is going to need to go back to fiat. And I think that leg of the transaction is...
And that's the liquidity category.
Right.
So you guys are pretty hot on that right now.
Yeah, so I think that's a part of the market where we're interested in seeing how that evolves. And again, hopefully that changes with, banks and kind of regulated institutions getting more involved in the space. Like once banks are comfortable holding stable coins, I think that, that'll change the game.
Have you guys made any key investments in the liquidity category to note?
We've definitely been talking to a lot of people, and nothing that's public right now. But I think hopefully you'll see us more involved there in the news in the future.
Awesome. Thank you to the motorcycle for that. Well, we'll wrap there. Henry, this was awesome. Any final thoughts?
Drew.
Where can people find you?
We have a weekly podcast that Matt and Nick host every week. We have a weekly newsletter. Both are called On the Brink. You can find it through our website. We're putting out content, whether it's on Twitter or, research reports. You can find all that on our website, castleisland.vc. I only have like 150 Twitter followers. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that'd be awesome. Then maybe I'll have like 152 after this video. So yeah, that's us.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
man. Thanks for your time.
That was great.
Boom. There we go.